Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Well, good morning, one and all. It is 8:07 here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today. By the way, if you've missed any of today's show, if you missed any of yesterday's show, if you miss any time on O'Connor and Company or really any show here on WMAL, you can go and check out our shows, the podcasts of our shows on the WMAL app. Listen at your leisure. And you know something, even if you've heard something before and you want to hear it again, go and listen again. Go and check it out. I'm sitting next to Julie Gunlock. Hello, Julie.
Morning.
We've got Tom Roussey joining us in just a little bit. He's from WJLA, ABC 7, going to talk about this property rights fight in Fairfax County and how Metrobus is trying to finally stop kids from evading fares, because it's mostly kids. So, yeah, stay tuned to that in a couple of minutes. So we covered a lot of this early on in the show, talking about the Epstein Files Transparency Act. 427 to 1 vote yesterday. The one vote, was about constitutional issues that were there. And then the Senate also had the vote. They unanimously voted to release all the Epstein files. It's going to the president's desk. In fact, here's a clip of that. Let's go ahead and play cut number 20.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over.
There you go. As soon as I'm glad he laid that out for us. So, thank you, Chuck, for letting us know that was happening. We've been talking about this issue of what I've been calling Ronagate. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, who represents the Virgin Islands, she was caught having an in-depth text exchange with Jeffrey Epstein while she was, questioning Michael Cohen during the Michael Cohen 2019 hearings. Remember when it was the silly season and Congress's focus was on doing what they can to talk about anything and everything negative about President Trump before he became president. Jeffrey Epstein, obviously not a friend of President Trump, was actively feeding her questions. Let's get back to what Will Cain said, and then we'll play how she actually questioned. Let's play cut number 21.
And you'll see Plaskett look down at her phone as these texts come in and change her questioning, including not knowing the last name of Rona, who she ends up asking about to Cohen.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Miss Rona. Who are those individuals? As Miss Rona, what is Miss Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot.
All right. Now remember,
time-stamped right there. In that moment, another text from Epstein. What does he tell Plaskett? Good job.
Right. So we have the clear back and forth there. We got the timestamps. And then as this censure motion goes down, here is Representative Plaskett on the House floor. Let's play cut 22.
Mr. Raskin, to my former professor in law school, and I want to address the body. I first want to give you all a sense of what was happening that day. Everyone knows at that hearing in February, the entire country was watching. As Michael Cohen decided he was going to finally give up information about what was happening in the Trump world, the Trump enterprise. And at the beginning of that hearing, the ranking member, Jim Jordan, had the disrespect to Elijah Cummings, may he rest in peace and his name be a memory, after not allowing Mr. Jordan to shut the committee hearing down. And I turned to Mr. Jordan and told him to have respect for the chair.
Okay, all right, we can end it there. I mean, basically, Plaskett is making herself out to be the hero in her own story. Julie, I know you want to jump in.
That's right. No, I mean, I think what we're setting up here is that, everybody thought that, let's release these files, and Democrats have been accusing Trump of everything under the sun, including running a pedophile ring. I hope these people get sued. Absolutely disgusting. And what we're seeing here is this is backfiring. Plaskett was texting Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing, getting questions, being fed questions, and it was after he had been convicted of sexual assault, or what was he convicted of exactly?
Now I don't remember. It was some kind of. It was a child sex crime.
So after he had been convicted, she is texting him. She is being fed questions for Michael Cohen, and again, this is a sort of kangaroo court to get Trump. And so last night it's backfiring on them. She goes to the floor. She's having this meltdown. She's prattling on about Jim Jordan. I don't really even understand the relevance.
She's trying to make herself out to be the hero in the story,
yes, the hero,
and she's claiming that because she was being such a hero, she was getting texts from everybody.
Right,
everybody, but not everybody was feeding her questions.
But as you have laid out really well, I mean, if you look at the context of these texts back and forth, there was clearly, you've called it kind of an intimate sort of back and forth. They were very friendly with one another. She starts chewing the inside of her cheek, and he goes, "Are you chewing gum?" And she says, "No, I have this bad habit going back to middle school." I mean, obviously these people have had, personal conversations. The fact that their texts were so intimate like this, and then of course the next thing is then Raskin goes down there, and I don't know if you're going to play that.
No, I'm going to play right now. But my point at the end of the day, also by the way, is even if you set aside Epstein's previous sex crime conviction, there is something very bad about a very wealthy American being able to feed questions to a member of Congress while they are interrogating someone who is trying to take down the president. But here is her. If you missed it, Jamie Raskin was Stacey Plaskett's law professor, and she brought that up. Here he is defending her. Let's play cut number 23.
Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And, of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing. Now, if you want to actually give her the chance to explain what happened, then we would take it to the Ethics Committee. I still don't see what the charge is. Where is the ethical transgression? Where is the legal transgression? Are you saying anybody on your side of the aisle who had a phone call with Jeffrey Epstein should be censured? Be careful your answer there, because there's a lot more that's about to come out, right?
Of all of the disingenuous garbage to come out there, if Elon Musk were texting a sitting member of Congress, feeding them questions while they were on the stand, that would be a massive story. Any other, insert wealthy conservative donor, right? Aren't we going down through this whole thing, Julie, where Clarence Thomas, they've been trying to take down Clarence Thomas because of his close relationship with wealthy donors, and how apparently
which was actually a decades-long friendship that they act like it's just something recent.
Right. Yes. And so, but it's not as though any of these wealthy friends are feeding Clarence Thomas questions to ask while he is in Supreme Court arguments. Listen, so much more to get to right now. It's 8:15 a.m.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So 3 House Republicans voted, I don't know why, voted to not censure Stacey Plaskett over this. And again, we're just laying it out, guys. There was setting aside Epstein's sex crimes, his sex crime conviction in the early 2000s. There is something about a very wealthy American feeding questions to a sitting member of Congress while they are engaged in questioning somebody in order to take down the sitting president of the United States. The 3 House Republicans who voted against it, Don Bacon of Nebraska, Lance Gooden of Texas, and Dave Joyce of Ohio. There was this moment yesterday, and I love it. I love any Jasmine Crockett story, Julie. I'm not going to lie. So she wanted to have her moment. She just couldn't get enough of it. She just couldn't let sleeping dogs lie. She sees Jamie Raskin misrepresenting the Stacey Plaskett story, so she wants to jump in here. Let's play cut number 25.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
You know, it's funny.
It's ridiculous.
I got in my other, I have some folks who email me show prep stuff. Apparently there was a case yesterday in which somebody named J.D. Vance was convicted of 2 years for threatening to kill J.D. Vance. I mean, there are lots of people out there who are out there.
Yes.
And so this poor guy, a Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, is the one who gave to Lee Zeldin. Yes, he writes, yes, Jasmine Crockett, a physician named Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a totally different person than the other Jeffrey Epstein, donated to a prior campaign of mine. By the way, this is... Which is true. None of the people that she mentioned, none of that was true. It was all different Jeffrey Epsteins. You can imagine her boneheaded staff going, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited! Look at this! Look at this!" Absolutely no fact checking. And she, of course, was happy to go down to the floor, and spout this off. And of course, the media will probably cover it. She is she really is a trip, honestly. The fact that this woman is a sitting member of Congress is just shocking to me. Right. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say we can talk about which is worse. Maybe Jasmine Crockett should have been getting fed information from wealthy donors because it might have been a little bit more accurate than this. But oh my God. And so something as all of the important news was going on with Saudi Arabia yesterday. ABC's Mary Bruce, she had to get her licks in. Let's play cut number 26.
Is that pretty good?
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind. It's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched. Or somebody psychs you over at ABC. You're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. And I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. All right. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's, your company, your crappy company is one of them.
Julie, go ahead and jump in.
It's important to realize that part of the reason that Trump is so angry here, which is hilarious, but he's so funny, and he handles these reporters so well. But part of the reason he's so angry is Mary Bruce, just want to point out, ABC's Mary Bruce, was one of those reporters that would, in advance, give her questions to Biden's press people so that it could be written out on a card. They could prep Biden for it. They gave him talking points on how to answer the question. They had these cards with her picture on it. And this isn't just her. This was the entire press corps. They knew exactly who he would call on. They would tell him, call on this person, call on that person. And then they would have the question in advance. Right. And Mary Bruce was fine to go along with that system. So there's something really gross about how aggressive she is in these White House. She has been repeatedly rude to the president president. These reporters are rude to the president and his guests. And again, I just think it's important to put this in context that these are the same reporters who went along with this cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline.
Well, also, if you're so concerned about this, where was your concern? Listen, Larry Summers has stepped away from public life. It's a very sad story at the end of the day. But where was this coverage of it then? Listen, we got so much more to get to. It's 8:23 a.m.
Coming up, ABC 7's Tom Roussey will talk about that strange house in Fairfax County and the Metrobus fare evasion. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is 8:37 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. I'm Andrew Langer. She's Julie Gunlock, and we want to wish you a good Wednesday morning. At least I do. I don't know if Julie wants to wish you a good Wednesday morning. But I do.
Yes, that's fine.
Yes. Thank you. I am Julie Gunlock, and I approve of this message.
Are you looking at my face?
Thank you for your attention to this detail. So joining us right now, I want to get to it. His name is Tom Roussey. He's a reporter with WJLA, ABC 7. And, Tom, we've been talking about this house out in Fairfax County, and you read it, and it doesn't really describe just sort of the level of this. It is a three-story, imagine, folks, three single wide trailers stacked on top of each other. Here's what I don't get, Tom. The zoning commission is out there saying that they have violated the setback requirements. What's going on here? How did this thing get approved? What have you found out?
Well, the thing about it is, and I do agree, you described it very well because I was trying to decide how to describe it for radio because you almost have to see it. But, he's essentially adding like a huge D.C. townhome to the side of his very small home,
right?
That looms over his home. But it's what's going on kind of depends on who you talk to.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, it sounds like he may be off in what he's building as far as a setback from his neighbor's property by literally just a few inches. But otherwise, it is totally allowed under the zoning rules. There's nothing wrong with it zoning wise, which is why one Fairfax County supervisor, Pat Harity, is proposing a change to the zoning rules because he says this shouldn't be allowed. So kind of what they're quibbling over at this point is literally just if he's just about a few inches too close to his neighbor's property in what he is building. I talked to the homeowner. His name is Mike Wynn, and he says, I'm building exactly what the county approved. But the county is saying, well, yes, we approved it. It meets the zoning requirements, but what's actually being built is just a little too close to the neighbor's property. And if you've seen the images, I mean, the thing, it's 3 stories tall, and it blocks the sun from about a third to half the home most of the day next door, and it's just feet away from the home next door.
Yeah, it really makes me mad that this was, I feel bad for the person putting the extension on, and I feel really bad for the person who's now going to be basically in the dark because of this addition. Because the county allowed this to go through. And look, I'm for property rights. I've added onto my house, and it was a bear. It was a difficult process. But there has to be some sort of common sense here. Can you talk to me about the changes that are being proposed here? I know it's kind of new, but are they, is there any detail on what sort of zoning changes that they're going to propose here? I mean, don't put your neighbor in the shade, addition to the regulations. What's being proposed?
It's nothing specific yet. It's just more a review. But the goal, according to Pat Harity, the supervisor who is proposing it, is he wants to create a situation where you essentially can't build something that looms over your neighbor's property like that. I mean, to be honest, what he's doing as far as the height is something that's happening in a lot of D.C. area neighborhoods, and it's controversial in a lot of neighborhoods. But often what people do is they tear the old home down and they replace it with, what some would say is a nice new home, others would say is a monstrosity, But it's more where he's putting it on the property that's gotten all the attention on this one, because it's at the very edge of his property on one side next to a neighbor's home that goes to the very edge of their property.
Yeah, when I was, by the way, we're talking with Tom Roussey from WJLA ABC7. When I describe this as a wall, I'm not saying he's building a wall. What I'm saying is that this house looks like a big, thick 3-story wall that he's putting against his neighbor's property. By the way, I don't know where the windows are. It's, again, hard to see from this. But, either some windows it looks like right on the side of the neighbor's property, but even if there's no windows on the neighbor's property, the neighbor is just, again, looking at a blank wall against their property line. It really is crazy here. What are the other neighbors saying? I know you've talked to other folks in the neighborhood.
Here's kind of the wild thing is the property owner that is most affected by it, the one who's looking at that wall you mentioned, he did say, I do have some concerns, and I was a little surprised when it became 3 floors and not 2. Yeah. But at the same time, he said, you know what, the Winds are very nice neighbors. I have no issues with them. I understand why they want to do this, because the man wants his parents to live with them. Yeah. It's 3 generations in one home, and he's like, and I respect that. So he actually had kind things to say about his neighbor, and everybody that lives around the Winds has nothing but good things to say about him. But the people who are angry tend to be the ones who live a little further down the street otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I imagine, Tom, that this is the people who, live further away are thinking, oh gosh, when is this coming to my neighborhood, my street, or my neighbor doing this kind of thing? I am baffled by this. I don't know why. Maybe maybe he doesn't have a big backyard. I don't know why you would add on. It does not correspond to the older part of the house. It is a bit confusing, but it sounds like everybody wants to do the right thing here, and it sounds like good people are going to try to find a solution.
And he met with the county yesterday, the homeowner, Mike Gwynn, and to try to find a solution. And it looks like he might have to apply for what they call a variance, possibly at some point. They said it's really just a few inches that makes this not according to the zoning. So, but again, then they're proposing changing the zoning, so you can't build something that looms over a neighbor's property like that anymore.
Hey, Tom, real quick before we let you go, Metrobus fare evasion is up again, substantially, certainly over 2016. What's D.C. doing to stop Metrobus fare evasion?
The main thing they're doing, they have increased police enforcement, but to be honest with you, it hasn't made much of a dent in it because it was 70% last year and it's 68% this year, which is, if it was a political poll, would be within the margin of error, Yes. So it really hasn't changed much. They did yesterday introduce you can pay with a credit card now.
Hold on, Tom. I want to be really clear about this. So you're saying they're saying 7 in 10 people who ride the Metro buses are not paying.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it was, at least according to Metro numbers, it was single digits who were not paying back, basically 9-10 years ago. And now, it's almost 7 out of 10. That is
crazy. Listen, Tom, we got to leave it there. Tom Roussey, ABC7 WJLA. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's 8:44 on WMAL.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Julie, the story doesn't go away. The Conference of Catholic Bishops and the Pope keep doubling down and lecturing the U.S. on immigration. This while they've had very stringent laws on the books at Vatican City against illegal immigration. This is a very near and dear to your heart, I know. So you take the lead on this.
Well, look, the U.S. Conference of Bishops, the bishops came out with a video at the urging of the Vatican to say basically criticize the Trump administration for their immigration policy and the policy of deporting some violent criminals out of this country to make our country safer. These bishops came out and criticized the Trump administration again at the urging of the Vatican. Now, we have a cut. This is a bit of that video that came out from some of the bishops. This is the Most Reverend William D. Byrne, Bishop of Springfield in Massachusetts, cut 27.
When someone's in your family is hurting, you're hurt. The bishops are the spiritual fathers here in the United States, and that's why we made this important statement, so that we could say, as a family, members of our family, those who are new to our lands, those who have been born elsewhere but come here to work to find safety, need to be able to have protections and be able to have safe passage into making sure that they become productive members of our society.
Yeah.
Not turned away. Sure, there are some that should not be here.
Yeah, he says when somebody in your family is hurting, you're hurt. We need to be, he says, I am the father. We need to welcome these new members of our family. But let me tell you something. When a member of the family commits a crime, a violent crime, raping, murdering, burglary, robbing, whatever it is, assault, okay? What does if any of my children did that, what would you do? There is punishment, okay? Right. And that means get them away from the other family members, okay? So I wish these bishops would talk a little about what some of the criminal elements that were allowed into this country have done to legal citizens of this country, people who were born here. Where is the sympathy? Where is the compassion for people who have been the victims of these crimes? Go ahead.
Yeah, and what I appreciate about all of this is the financial connection here. Our good friend Ryan Ellis has put this chart out there, and grants to the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, they were low, around $50 million a year throughout Trump's first term, and then they exploded under Joe Biden to almost $200 million in 2024.
And what are these contracts for? To resettle these people who've come into the country illegally.
Right.
That's what they're for.
And again, to use your analogy, right, if all of a sudden all of my family members started showing up and wanted to move in with me, we'd have to have some rationality out there. I'm not going to
fine. Let's say some families do come, right? And you add a 3-story addition to your house.
Yes, absolutely,
okay?
right.
But let's say they start assaulting you. Let's say they start robbing you. Let's say they do something horrible to one of your other family members. Would you let them stay?
Yeah.
No.
Let's quickly hear what Pope Leo XIV had to say about this.
I think every country has a right to determine who and how and when people enter. But when people are living good lives, and many of them for 10, 15, 20 years, to treat them in a way that is extremely disrespectful, to say the least, and there's been some violence, unfortunately. I think that the bishops have been very clear in what they said, and I think that I would just invite all people in the United States to listen to them.
Good. Then I would invite the people in Vatican City to open up their doors as well.
That's right. Yeah. And also, I would also, with all due respect, someone's listening to CNN a little too much, okay? We are yes, you know what? People who live here for 20 years commit crimes.
Right.
They rape, they murder, they rob, they disrupt. And those are the people that the Trump administration is targeting.
Right.
I don't care if someone's been here for 20 years and they have a job. That's the other thing. Like, fine, they have a job, they've lived here for 20 years. If they've committed a crime, if they've hurt somebody in this country, they're going to be deported. Not to mention the fact that you came over, you're kind of a criminal.
If I lived in Italy and I lived in wherever and I was working hard, I committed a crime, I would be kicked out of that country. Listen, it's 8:53 here on WMAL.